Hi, my name is Sarvesh and you are watching D365 Notes. Today, the agenda of this video is to cover about expense policies in D365 Finance and Operation. So, what is the use of expense policies? So, expense policies are used to define rules, policy against expense incurred by employees. So, for example, sometime the rule is uh, our employee if employee is spending something more than 1000 USD, then he need to submit receipt for that expense. Other than he don't receipt is not required. So that is kind of policy we can define in the system. Okay, so for defining that expense policies or travel policies, so multiple forms are there to define the policies. So to define that, you have to go to expense management, setup and policies and expense report policies. So we can define expense report policies now. As of now, we will cover about the travel requisition as well in later part here. But as of now, we will define expense report. So, so for creating a new policy, you can click on new button and define your policy rule, policy name. Then here, what you have to do is you have to select your company. Just select your company, you have to click on add button, then it will add. So for me it is already created, so I will not create a new policy and create any other record. So this expense policy for USSI is already created. Now if you see, this is the company Conteso Consulting USA. Okay, so this is selected for this. Now so the policy is, if any expense incurred by a employee then more than 1000, then he has to submit the receipt. So for that we have to we can see here receipt required. So we can click on create policy rule. So it will pop up a new window. So let's wait. Okay, now here we can uh, define here transaction amount is greater than 1000. Okay, 1000 value. Here we will select currency, so USD. Okay, so we are not covering for a specific expense, but we will cover here. So do the following. So here allow user to submit and approve but display warning message. Here there is do not allow user to submit, approve, display error message. You can allow user with warning, you can stop user with error. Okay, that is possible. Do not allow user to approve until user enter justification. So in case if you want any justification on this, then you have to you can define do not allow user to submit until they enter as justification. Yes, so it is on submit, and do not allow user to submit and approve until enter as justification. So what we will do is we will allow user to submit and approve but display warning message. Now here we can put a text. So we can give please attach receipt on the expense report. So this is a simple rule I am explaining, but uh, on the background we can just check. I will show you. Okay, so here we can click on test and test the expense policies on different expense reports available. So if I click on evaluate, so this is how expense policy is created in the system. So I think this video become very much long. So that's it for today. We have created expense policy and we have tested expense policy on different expense reports. So in next video, in part 2, we will be covering about the expense policy. We will create one record and we will test and we will check how this expense policy is behaving. Okay. So we will check different rules on the expense policy. So that's it for today. I will see you in the next video. Till that time, tada, bye bye. See you in the next one.